In the world that we're describing, there's a lot of uncertainty. And the vast majority of companies, individuals, societies in general, gravitate towards IQ the moment you have uncertainty in a system. As a response to this crazy, hectic world, we gravitate towards intelligence. We try to surround ourselves with very smart people. We build very intelligent teams. But the problem is recent research has shown that beyond the first 2 years on the job, IQ does not seem to predict success. Let me say that again. IQ does not seem to be predicting success. So what are we missing? With a group of researchers at T-Labs, I've invented the concept of AQ for adaptability quotient. If the world is growing exponentially and all this change is happening, your ability to respond to that change is the strongest predictor of your success. IQ still matters, but we believe in a stacked model of intelligence. You have IQ, on top of that you have EQ, emotional intelligence, and then you have AQ for adaptability. And we're trying to develop a tool that helps us quantify AQ. Just like you can measure your IQ, we're trying to develop a mechanism, a psychometric tool, that helps you measure your own AQ. As part of this research, we bring people into the lab and we say, hey, welcome. Today we're going to measure your adaptability. What do you think happens? They start behaving more adaptively, which is very annoying because we're trying to measure the thing. But I think it's fantastic news for humanity. It means that unlike IQ, AQ seems to be coachable, highly coachable. You're not stuck with it. You can develop it. And there's a message in there. We've talked to many individuals, many teams, many organizations. We've noticed that the common denominator across everybody is that we're all searching for stability. But the strongest predictor of how much stability you will enjoy seems to be how well you can unlearn. Unlearning is emerging as a new core competency in this new world of exponential change. Your ability to unlearn predicts your AQ, predicts your adaptive response to it. But the problem is we have never been taught how to unlearn. Our education system is predicated on the dumping of a lot of information on a lot of people in the image of the Industrial Revolution. We're never really taught how to unlearn. In fact, after these types of conversations, I noticed that a lot of executives go back to their teams and they say, listen, the world is changing exponentially fast. We need to unlearn A, B, and C. Go do it yesterday. We become very prescriptive with unlearning. But the problem is unlearning is actually very, very difficult. And I would love for all of us to approach unlearning, especially with our teams, quite sympathetically, ideally empathetically. So I want to give you a visual reminder of what unlearning looks like. Somebody invented a bike that turns left when you turn the handle right. Here are some people who are being offered $100 to ride this bike for 1 meter only. So nobody can do it. The guy in blue, his name is Destin Sandlin. He taught himself. How long do you think it took him? Any guesses? Did I hear 1 hour? Longer. A day? Even longer, but that's a pretty exponential guess. It took him 8 months, on average 45 minutes a day, to be able to do this. Eight months, 45 minutes a day. That's time well spent. And even then, it's not very stable. Now, Destin has a son. At the time, the son was 5. How long do you think it took the son? 2 weeks. It took the son 2 weeks instead of 8 months, 45 minutes a day. What do you think happened when he tried to get back on a regular bike? It looks funny, doesn't it? I always joke that I have never done anything well that I hadn't done badly first. I think the leadership moment for all of us is to understand that our role is to create a safe space for people to get the badly done first out of the way. In this new world, we need to do a lot of unlearning, and we need to empower each other to do it with the safety of the environment we're in. So I would love for all of us to approach unlearning sympathetically, ideally empathetically.
All right.
Yes, sir.
I think a lot of us are fascinated with this theme of adaptability, and we've been having kind of a running conversation throughout the day about the development of human capital. And could you describe and recommend some concrete strategies for developing adaptability in the workforce?
Yeah. So we can do an exercise together, actually, because this is a topic that we're quite interested in. I want you to think about your own personal AQ score. Assume that it is a number from 0 to 100, normally distributed. Think about it for a second, and I'll have a question for you. All right, we've done this exercise enough times to know that in a room like this, the average person, the average of the room actually, is around 70. But notice that I said normally distributed, average around 50. So we all tend to think of ourselves as more adaptable than we actually are. We tend to overestimate it. But here's a positive note about this exercise. This very exercise in our study has been shown to increase adaptability. So you just boosted your own AQ by going through this exercise. So first step is reflecting on the notion, and having it top of mind we think has predictive power for how well you can embrace it. But secondly, I've done a TED talk on this. We think adaptive behavior starts in a concept that we call ligometry, knowledge of lack of knowledge. Ligo is Latin for shadow, metry is quantification. Ligometry is knowledge of lack of knowledge, quantifying things you know you don't know. There's knowledge pretension out there, and we all tend to project more knowledge than we actually have. And this goes a little deeper on the TED Talk, but effectively we do this exercise with executives, for instance, where we sit around a circle and we ask people to talk about things they know they don't know. And nobody wants to open their mouth. It's a bit of a career-ending move to talk about things you know you don't know, especially in a professional setting. So we put the CEO or the most senior person in the room on the spot and we ask them to go first. That exercise, the moment that person goes first, it becomes a safe environment, going back to the safety of the environment. And suddenly everybody wants to share. So going through this knowledge of lack of knowledge and reflecting on it, I think is the first step.